today, and we're talking about, this is all about for people who thrive in motion. I'm the architect.
I'm Doc.
All right.
Let me introduce who we have today. He is incredible. This is David Johnson with VoidRabbit Apparel. We are absolutely honored to have him on the show. And I wanted to just go into a little bit of what his company is.
Quick question.
Yes.
Wasn't David on with us live in Kansas City a couple weeks ago?
What?
Some of you guys might remember that.
Yes.
He's the bomb. You're going to love
He
him.
is the bomb. He is the bomb. So let me start off with his mission statement. It is, his mission is, as a company and a brand, to bring a fearless innovation and quality to the streetwear scene. He believes performance apparel can mean more than just clothes for exercising. Our gear and his gear is designed to feel as good as it looks and give you the courage to run with the best. I am like, that just excites me in general, but I've had a little bit more, more than our audience has. I've seen your incredible apparel. So let's just get into, first and foremost, how'd you get started, man? What does that look like for you? And just get us into the VoidRabbit scene.
Sure. So I've always struggled to figure out kind of what I look good in. I've always loved clothes and I've hated wearing them because I couldn't find an aesthetic that I resonated with. And then about 2 years ago, I had to move across country to find a new job. And once we got stabilized, we were able to pay off all my debt. And I had a comfortable job and I was sitting around and I was like, man, I have a ton of free time. Like, what do I do now? And so, I got into the car scene. I've always loved driving. I've loved cars. I'm in the Midwest now. I'm in Southern Indiana, and the car scene here is huge. And so I got involved with people and I'm sitting there like, I can do something with this. I'm surrounded by these people that love cars, love moving, like how do I bring myself into that? And so, I started playing around with designs and trying to bring what I loved into it. And I came up with a logo, the rabbit, and tried to throw some stuff together, and people were like, dang, man, that's kind of cool. Like, I kind of like that. And it really just kind of took off from there.
That's awesome. Wow. That's awesome. So do you have a background in fashion or?
No. So my background is actually industrial design. So I do product design and development. I work with hard goods. I work with services like UX, UI design. Right now I work for a company called Escalade Sports, and I do a little bit of graphics, but mainly it's been hard goods. But I'd say for the past maybe 4 years, I've had to do projects that involve more graphic heavy assignments, and I've been sort of able to capitalize on that.
So right now, VoidRabbit's kind of a side hustle.
Yes, I'm employed full time, and so I actually do all this basically nights and weekends.
That's awesome.
Wow. Holy cow. That's impressive to do that nights and weekends. I'm starting to notice that type of a little bit of more hard work that you have to put into doing that side hustle. How long did you say you've been doing this for, my friend?
So I went live January 4th of last year. And between that time, I've got two leather jacket SKUs. I've got multiple hoodies, shirts, hats, and various accessories.
That's awesome. So now we know the answer to this question, but our viewers don't. So how do you get your clothing line produced? Are you sitting in the garage late at night, pricking your fingers with needles and stuff, or how do you get that produced?
As much as I would love to say that I sew all of my stuff, and I've considered investing in a sewing machine and getting into pattern making and stuff, I do not do that. So I design all of my graphics myself, and then depending on the product that I'm making, I'll send it to a different spot. So if I'm doing shirts, screen printing, things like that, I will use local companies. Like around here, we have a very, very good company called Graphic Apparel.
Right.
And they can do a lot of screen printing stuff, and I can get a shirt for like $8. And that's not bad at all.
Sure.
But if I'm doing some of the more complex stuff where it's fine leather or it's all over sublimation, I actually farm that out to a factory in Pakistan.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're a global brand.
Trying, absolutely. And I've talked about because my factory guys always tell me that their workers always love my stuff, and I'm like, you can sell it to them too. Like we can figure out a way to get into that market.
I love that, man. I absolutely love your designs. We'll lead to that obviously later on in the show where they can find that, which we have to make sure they do.
Here, hold on.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
Yeah.
stand up real quick and show them you're wearing one of yours. This is one of your hoodies, right?
Yes, so this is the Speed Freak hoodie. It was designed for oh crap, I've got my blur on. I'm not sure I can get far away.
Oh, I can see it well though.
It's coming.
So yeah. So
gorgeous.
the I know I gotta turn that blur off though if I can. I don't know how to do it. Maybe I'll figure it out later. But this is actually wind resistant. It was catered towards motorcycle riders without having to be like cut and dry safety with like, yellow on the back, whatever on the front. I tried to make it as bright as possible without having it look like it's supposed to be for safety, because, you always got to make sure that you're seen on the road when you're riding a motorcycle.
Right.
100%, man.
No, that's awesome. So I think one of the things I really appreciate that, I think a lot of our viewers, if they're thinking about their side hustle, so many of us come out of a job where we're the only ones doing the work, and you thrive in motion. And being the fact that you still have a job and this is your side hustle, you got a lot of motion going on, but you have figured out how to leverage other people to help you bring your vision to life.
Yes.
So can you speak to that just a little bit?
Sure. So from a logistics standpoint on my side, I've actually because of the people that are around here, they love cars, and they've gravitated towards the brand. And so I've got people that are willing to rep my gear for me. I've got a guy who just loves the brand in general, and so he'll help me get my gear to events. He's helping me with my blog right now. And so because he's very deep in the local automotive scene, I've only been in this state for 2 years, and he knows everyone. And so I can leverage him to get involved and get stories out of people that he knows personally. And I can return that favor by offering him, heavy discounts on the gear. I can bring him to events with me. He can be the first one to look at the prototypes. And this isn't all the time, but he happens to be creative and has provided designs that I can actually do things with. So that's been pretty cool. But as far as being able to, without having a ton of side money, I am not a wealthy person, I just put that out there. I'm not wealthy, and so I've been able to basically go to teams that are local in the area and say, listen, I know you're trying to go big, and I know that you've got expenses that you've already allocated money for. And what I can do, I can take that money that you were going to spend, I can reinvest that into merchandise that I will make for you. I'll design it for you. I'll do a little bit of the legwork up front, and then I'll turn around and help you sell that. I'll make your money back. You'll get your own branded merchandise, and everybody wins.
That's awesome.
Golly, dude, that is fantastic. Okay, so I think we're kind of moving in the direction a little bit by little bit of what is your why? I mean, you're already inspiring me on all these different levels, but maybe let's drill in a little bit deeper. What's your why?
So I'm trying to, if you had asked me 4 months ago, I would have been like, well, I'm just trying to see if I can make it work. But ever since the blocks and being kind of forced to have that long-term goal, what I've realized is that I want to be something that when you go out to a car show, when you go out to an event and you see someone wearing the Rabbit, I want that person to know that no matter where they are on the knowledge spectrum, how long they've been in the car community, that person doesn't suck. They can talk to that person. Right. That person is cool. I'm trying to build a community around the positive side of the car world. Sure. There is a ton of negativity right now. If you look at the takeovers in Chicago and things like that, and all the YouTube videos of people being jerks on the road and stuff, there's a ton of negativity that comes with the automotive community. And so I want people that are famous in the car community to wear my stuff, not because I'm sponsoring them, but because they resonate with that message.
That's awesome.
Golly, I love that, man.
That's awesome. So that's kind of your big why, huh?
I want to generate like an icon for positive association in the automotive community.
That's cool. So, when you think about that, you think about building that brand. You had mentioned a little while ago that I'm not a wealthy person, right? That's your words, not mine. But you say I'm not a wealthy person. So what are some of the challenges that you faced trying to bootstrap and trying to drive forward an idea and a concept that from an outsider's perspective seems like it would be very capital intensive? How have you been able to move forward some of those challenges, and what have you faced?
Great question. Yeah.
So I spent a ton of time at the beginning making sure that the product was exactly the way that I wanted it to. When you're in apparel or when you're in product development, you have to do iterative design. You have to create prototypes. And those prototypes cost money. One sample of this, a one-off, is like $80.
Okay.
And so I got to make sure that I get it right the first time. You have to ask a ton of questions. You have to make sure that you know everything going on. And there's no downside to coming off like you don't know anything. It's definitely, if you're going to do it right, it's not like a fake it till you make it, because you will guaranteed make mistakes.
Sure.
So the more knowledge that you can come and be like, listen, I don't know how this works. Like, please, let me know. And odds are people either are willing to talk about it, or you have fed their ego enough to the point where they're like, all right, I can divulge some of my wealth of knowledge onto this person. And even if it's that dynamic and you don't necessarily like feel good about it, you're still going to get that information that you need. And so, I spent a lot of time on like the 4 first prototypes that I had for each of my designs. And then I got as much visibility on it as I could. There's no problem being wrong. There's no problem to put yourself out there. You have to put your pride on the shelf and just be like, you know what, people might judge me. But odds are they're not going to. That's just in my head, like no one cares until you're wealthy enough that they can talk crap about you on social media.
Right.
And so just put it out there, get it in front of people as fast as you can, get opinions, and then you can take that bit by bit and plug it back into the brand. Every time I make a sale, I don't use any of that money. I put it into my account and then I immediately go and I order more stuff. It never leaves the business circle.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So how do you get that exposure? What are some of the ways that you do that?
So, a lot of it for me has been knocking on doors. Like now, I'm friends with drifting teams. I'm friends with custom builders. I'm friends with bike shops. You find what has worked for me is that you find people that are also in need. And if you can, if I say I've got something cool, people like it. That person might have a shop, and they need people to come in. And so if I say that my cool stuff is at this location, you should go and check it out, that benefits them. And then I don't have to pay to get my product into that store. And so it's really all about relationship building. If you can just get a conversation going and you figure out what someone needs, you can figure out a way to fill that void with your own, with what you can provide. And it ends up being much more of an even relationship.
That's awesome.
I love that, man. I love that. That resides humongously with me. I'm humongously involved in relationship building, and I love that. And so that I think is just it's kind of a standard in business. If you're wanting to grow, you want to get that feedback. I love what you're talking about. So I know you probably already hinted at it a little bit, but what are some new and exciting things that you're working on right now in general?
So I'm fortunate enough in that the factory that I work with is actually skilled in leather work, and and they don't charge.
In Pakistan?
Yes, in Pakistan. And I'm just, as a side note, for anyone trying to get into fashion, I would highly recommend going to Pakistan instead of China, because the Pakistani culture is more about fashion. They actually care a lot about what they look like. And so in my experience, the fit on Pakistani clothing is going to be slightly better.
Nice.
But as far as new stuff coming out, so I mentioned I have a new leather jacket SKU coming out. It's completely it's at some point I'm going to send you the picture of the first one, but it looks totally different. It's way more aggressive. It's a hard leather. You know, it's definitely more of like a speed bike style jacket.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've got that coming. I'm experimenting with a leather hoodie, which I've never actually
leather
seen
hoodie.
before. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I want it to be
Wow.
like casual, but at the same time, kind of like really luxe and
Yeah.
kind of overly simple with a little bit of just a tiny little bit of design work here, and just make it look absolutely badass and super functionable. Because, like, you know, if you've ever worn a leather jacket or worn leather, you can't feel the wind. It's insulating without being too heavy. And it'll last forever. There's so many benefits to leather. And so I'm pushing as hard as I can in that direction.
That's awesome.
Holy cow. You already have me sold, man.
Well, you guys
You're
can get a
making
discount.
me-
Just like
Exactly. You're making me want to go back out, get another motorcycle, which
Right.
I've been riding for a long time, but I end up selling my motorcycle. But you're drawing me back in. My wife would be upset, man. My wife would-
No, that's awesome. All right, so we're gonna kind of wrap up. I'm gonna throw one last question at you, and we'll wrap it up here.
Sure.
And take your time with it, but if you were to make a recommendation to somebody that was they're thinking about a side hustle, they're feeling a little insecure, they don't know where to get started, you know, what kinds of recommendations would you make in some of the challenges that you've had to overcome?
Absolutely. So for me, and I touched on this a little bit. Knowledge is power. And if you don't go in with as much research as you possibly can, because I'm also not particularly, I don't like research. I like development. And so I would much rather learn from my own mistakes, because then I get the own validation. I've put in the time, and now I'm more invested in what I'm trying to do. I've seen the results.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to get into something new, you want to make sure that you understand as much as possible, with the understanding as well that you're not going to be right. And you take your pride and you put it away, and you take your anxiety and you just kind of like breathe into it and push through it, because nothing is going to happen unless you do something.
Right.
That's like the biggest thing. People say you just have to start. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people have. You know, I was sitting around for probably 4 months with 3 designs that I really liked. And I was like, man, I don't know. And I'm asking my friends, and I'm like, are these people just trying to be nice to me? Like, I don't want your kindness. I want your unbiased opinion. And please, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I need it. It hurts me if you're lying. It hurts me if you're trying to be nice.
Right.
And so being able to find people in your circle that can provide that kind of unbiased feedback is a plus. I will say a lot of people use me as that person because I don't care about your feelings. And so people are like, is this good? And I'll be like, no, but I can tell you how it would be better. And so I have always sought out people like that, because when you're an entrepreneur and when you're doing something that's new, you don't have a ton of reference. You don't have people outside of your own mind that know what you're doing. Technically, no one knows. And so you have to get that honest feedback. I will say bootstrapping comes into it. If you can find any way to minimize your expenditure, I mean, it's never going to hurt you, and you can feel cheap. You can feel frugal. I have designed components of my jacket I have explained what I want to my guys in Pakistan by folding up paper and like showing them how I want it layered, because then they understand the levels involved and the cuts and things. And it's paper. You know, I didn't go out. I didn't cut fabric, anything like that. You use what you've got readily available.
Sure.
Wow, that's amazing. I have to jump in real quick and say you have been that to us for sure at Full Investor. In that feedback, you're like, guys, this, that, and it's up to us if we're going to how we're going to analyze that, of course, but bring that into perspective. And we went out and like used your feedback right away. And dude, it's awesome. I love that component of what you said. You need those people in your corner, but those rough and tough people that are going to tell you, you know, a straightforward opinion and not beat around the bush.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we appreciate you telling us how much we suck. We love that.
I didn't say that. That's funny.
You know what? You've got an amazing story, and you've got I love, dude. So those of you that don't know, I don't know if you know this. I actually tried on David's jacket to see if it would fit me. Not even close. We are not the same size. We're not the same build, but man, I was so hooked. I'm like, okay. So at some point, I'm ordering a jacket from you. You build and you didn't even like that jacket. So
that was the first one. It wasn't even good yet. And people were like, that's a great jacket. I'm like, it looks so much better now.
Right. So I'm fired up about that. We're gonna have I'll be the only guy in town that's fly.
Right.
People be like,
people gonna be jealous when I get that, man. And I'm gonna have to buy a motorcycle in the meantime too. So
well, and we may have to talk to you about doing some Flowbuster gear.
Yeah.
We'll come up with some gear. And here's what I want to do with it though. We'll have to make sure that it's gear by VoidRabbit. We'll have your rabbit on there, just like, you know, it's branded for us, but we got your brand on there as well, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the collaboration part. It helps you, it helps me. I get the word out. You get a badass jacket, like, you know.
Yes.
We're gonna do something. We'll do something fun, man. It'll be a lot of fun. So
I'm ready.
Man, it's been awesome having you on. How do people find you?
How do people find me? So I'm all over social media. If you look up VoidRabbit, one word, VoidRabbit, you'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me on TikTok. You'll find me on Instagram. My website has a blog. We're always featuring a local rider or a local driver, a local car community member every week. If you see this and you're in Southern Indiana, give me a shout. I'm happy to feature you on the blog. And if you participate, you get 15% off your next purchase.
Nice. That's awesome, man. We call that plug.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, David, thank you so much for joining us. It's been another great episode of Get in the Flow. And, you know, if you're a person that thrives in motion, dude, you need to check out David. Go down into the comments below. We will have the link out to his pages that we are able to find. Obviously, it's very easy to find him, so we're gonna hunt those things down, and we'll provide that for you, make it even easier. So we appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe below. David, thanks for being on the show.
Yes, man.
Thank you.
Honored to have you.
It's been a pleasure, guys.
Such good stuff. We can't wait to all have matching jackets.
100%.
When you come back, will you be a guest again?
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome,
man.
Well, dude, awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Guys, get in the flow.
Later, guys.
Take it easy.